2005 Star Wars Battlefront 2 is regarded as one of the best Star Wars video games of all time, and for good reason. The game was so feature complete that if you ask people who played it back in the day what they love about it, they'd give you totally different answers. And I can go all day about what makes this game special, but I'm here to talk to you guys about Hero Assault, a game mode that made its debut in this iteration of the series, and how the PS2 online community took a very fun little side game mode and turned it into a deep competitive experience, and to this day is the best example of Jedi vs Sith in a PvP setting. Hero Assault was played on the Mos Eisley map and pitted all of the game's playable heroes versus villains in a team deathmatch setting. This game mode gradually became more popular online to the point where there are servers dedicated to only playing Hero Assault. In fact, I didn't even know Hero Assault existed in the game until I got my PS2 online way back in the day and started participating in these servers. So as an online community began to form around Hero Assault, the rules and the meta slowly began to be more established. And the first thing to go was the shooting-based characters. While it's always fun to run around as Chewbacca or Boba Fett, these characters were just so much weaker compared to the Jedi or Sith characters that in a server they were more of a nuisance as opposed to a challenge. The thing that made this game mode unique anyway was the lightsaber combat coupled with force abilities, so it was really just a natural progression for the community to go in this direction. Every lightsaber wielding character has a set of core moves: a basic combo chain, an aerial attack, a backslash attack, and a sprint attack. And you'll notice when these characters start sprinting, they move really quickly, but start using their stamina in the bottom left. Most of these characters can also throw their lightsaber for long-range projectile damage. It's one of their force abilities in addition to something like push. Now, the combination of fast sprint speed and the ability to force jump allows these characters to traverse the map in very unorthodox ways, which kind of adds to the gameplay depth at higher levels. But it's not all fun and games. You'll see as I jump more and farther, my stamina bar starts to get depleted. And when it's completely gone, you're very vulnerable. You can't block, use any force abilities, jump, sprint, etc. So it really comes down to managing your stamina in order to use all of these core moves effectively. So while every character uses the same core moveset and inputs, the actual animations, hitboxes, and functionality of the moves can change quite a bit depending on who you're playing. You see here Obi-Wan has a really fast combo chain different to Luke's. His sprint attack's a lot different, and it actually can block incoming force pushes as well, just as an example of different functionality. So while they can run around and sprint around the same, there's little nuances with each character that you're going to have to master. For example, lining up Mace Windu's aerial attack to be a one-hit kill. In order to get kills in Hero Assault, you need to make your opponents vulnerable, and the most common way to do this is with force abilities such as push. Pushing gives you the chance to tumble your opponent like that, and when an opponent is tumbled, they're vulnerable for several seconds and they can't perform any defensive actions. There might be situations where you push them and they aren't tumbled, and in that situation they could recover with a block or jump away, etc. Some heroes have the ability to do a force pull instead of push, which as the name suggests, pulls your opponent closer to you from a long range. Now this ability quickly became pretty overpowered and was disallowed in most servers and competitive play. Since he is a master of the Force, Yoda has the ability to pull or push, sacrificing the ability to lightsaber throw. Darth Maul is the only villain character that has Force Push as his Force ability. And you may be thinking to yourself, this all seems kind of broken. You mean you could just run around the map and just push people over and over again like ragdolls and eventually kill them? Well, not quite, and I'll explain why. Force pushes and force pulls can be blocked by your opponent if they're facing you with their block up. Now, this causes situations where you need to be creative and try and find ways around their block if your opponent's being defensive. At higher levels of play, sometimes you have to get very creative and use the map and your movement speed to your advantage to pull off tumbles, like so. Remember, pushing repeatedly drains your stamina, as does holding your block forever, so it becomes a little bit of a cat and mouse game of who's going to blink first. The rest of the villains rely on force choke, and as you can see, leaves your opponent very vulnerable and actually does health damage as well, but you're losing a lot of stamina in that process. To combat this stamina loss, players discovered that if you switch to your saber throw while holding a choke, you'll actually regain your stamina, allowing you to do more force abilities like a saber throw or sprint and get closer for the kill. As if force choke wasn't menacing enough, you actually can't block it either. And now I know what you're thinking. I can't block choke. It does health damage to me. And they also have a hidden tech where you can hold it infinitely without losing stamina. How do I counter this shit? Well, the players of the community got creative. So since blocking was obsolete, players had to get creative. It started with just a lot of bob and weaving, sprinting around, trying to jump around and avoid the choke. But as you can see, it's not very effective. Even if you're jumping around a lot and trying to throw off the choker's aim, they can and will catch you, especially good chokers. They can even catch you as soon as you land like so. So what players discovered is that if you combined the sprint input with the block input, you could do a slow motion run and you won't get staggered by the choke. When you're in the air or slow-mo running, you can still get choked in the sense that you lose health, but you won't be staggered like so. But the moment you stop moving is when you're vulnerable to that choking stagger. So a combination of the slow-mo running and your other movement abilities can allow you to bamboozle chokers and give them what they deserve. For a long time in the game's history, blocking had a very specific use, to only block push or pull attempts. Saber throw damage would go through, and a normal saber attack would go through as well. So you weren't really blocking anything. But then a huge discovery made its way through the community: the perfect block. 2 years after the game was released, players in the Hero Assault community discovered that if you angle your character in certain directions of the map, they will get a perfect block. This move negated all incoming damage and stagger, with the exception of Force Choke. It completely revolutionized the game and the way it was played. Veteran players had to adapt to new defensive options and playstyles. Infinite Choke, Slow-Mo Run, these were all unintended techniques that the community discovered, but none was as impactful as the perfect block. Now, when you take these mechanics and put it into a team setting, things get more interesting and the skill gap is raised considerably. You can save your teammates from certain death by using your force abilities. And on the flip side, you yourself need to know when it's safe to go in and confirm a kill, or when it's better to let it go and reposition for another opportunity. As time went on, players started finding new ways to traverse the map more efficiently. Running up walls was faster than jumping a bunch of times and cut down on stamina consumption. You can use ramps to get the buildings in a single jump. You can pop over bubbles to get into better push positions, which allow you to confirm kills easier or save teammates. These force abilities allowed for impressive teamwork to shine through, and it became vital for denying the enemy team precious kills. Conversely, you needed to know when it was necessary to step in and help your teammate, or to allow them to secure the kill they deserve. It was very easy to use these force abilities unwisely, allowing enemies to escape when otherwise your teammate would have got the kill. I hope all that rambling shows just how deep the game went from a skill and knowledge standpoint. Now I'm going to show some actual gameplay footage so you guys can get an idea of how the game's played at full match speed while I close out the video. To be honest, there's still so much I didn't cover, like individual character techniques that you'll get a glimpse of in this gameplay. Like Luke's ability to one-shot kill somebody who's full health if he times his aerial properly. Or the fact that he can push or jump immediately after doing his combo, canceling the recovery. There are so many little hidden and unintended techniques like that made the game what it is today, and only added to the skill gap and the knowledge required to play at the highest level. So many clans and players have come and went and put their stamp on the community over the years. This game mode was active until at least 2014, around the time the GameSpy server shut down. Rivalries were formed, epic clan battles took place. Due to the nature of the game, people actually took on apprentices and tried to train them up with all of this hidden knowledge that a lot of people didn't know about just running around in public servers. So there's just so much dynamics at play here, and it's just really a testament to the community that we're still around and telling these stories to this day. Now that we're all spending a lot more time at home, dedicated members of the community created a Discord server to try and revive the community and bring back old faces for a little reunion of sorts. We're playing the game on Steam now. We have a couple dedicated servers, so people who want to recapture the glory days or just mess around in a cool Jedi vs. Sith game mode can feel free to hop in. I'll put the Discord server link in the description. They're also hosting a 2v2 tournament for the more competitive side of the community, who are still very good to this day. I truly believe that this game mode has no equal when it comes to capturing the essence of what a Jedi vs. Sith should be in a PvP setting. The EA Battlefront remakes have tried with their Heroes vs. Villains mode, but while it has a lot of polish, it doesn't have the same level of depth, and it can be a little bit clunky. I'm still holding out hope that one day we'll get a proper Jedi vs. Sith PvP mode in the spirit of Hero Assault. Until then, I'll keep dreaming. I really appreciate you guys watching. Take care and stay safe out there.